Coming up on Network Africa. The trial of the first Lord's Resistance Army commander is underway as he appears before the ICC. Plus, it's less than 24 hours to the Ghana presidential election and candidates hold final rally. And the 16th edition of the Marrakesh International Film Festival kicks off in Morocco. Hello everyone, I am VC Adebayo. LRA Commander Dominic Ongwen has pleaded not guilty to all the charges faced at his trial at the International Criminal Court. The First Lord's Resistance Army commander is the first child soldier to be tried by the ICC. He faces 70 counts of war crimes and crimes against humanity in Uganda, and that's more charges than any other suspect. When the trial kicked off, the defense appealed that an investigation into his mental health should be carried out before the trial, but the application failed.
The request to hold the opening of this trial is therefore rejected. The request to order psychiatric and/or psychological examination to ensure that Mr. Ongwen understands the nature of the charges is equally rejected.
Hundreds of them were abducted and forced to carry away the goods which had been pillaged. If they could not walk fast enough, they were beaten and killed. Nursing mothers whose babies slowed up their progress or who simply cried too loudly watched as their babies were callously killed or thrown into the bush and left behind. The evidence shows that in each case, Dominic Ongwen played a prominent role in the planning and execution of the 4 attacks. On one notorious occasion, Mr. Ongwen ordered this boy and others to kill an old man by biting him and then stoning him to death.
Now let's take a look at the man Dominic Ongwen, nicknamed White Ant. He was born in 1975 in the village of Kurum in Amuru district, northern Uganda. He is the ex-commander of the Senior Brigade of the Lord's Resistance Army, and Ongwen was abducted at the age of 10 as he walked to school in northern Uganda.
Dominic Ongwen, a top lieutenant of Lord's Resistance Army LRA leader Joseph Kony, who was accused of war crimes ranging from child kidnapping and forced marriage and murder, goes on trial in The Hague on Tuesday. The crimes were alleged to have been committed during the rebels group Long Rampage in northern Uganda.
Most of the people who have killed in the camp, they are killed by the gun, panga, stick. Other people are burnt inside. These young children would tear into pieces and throw them in the fire. Then they burnt there.
The trial of Dominic Ongwen opens as the International Criminal Court faces the biggest crisis in its 15-year history, with several member states quitting over claims it unfairly singles out Africans' prosecution. Ongwen was himself a victim of the LRA's child kidnapping campaign in 1998, pressed into service as a young teenager in Kony's war against the government of President Yoweri Museveni, who had seized power 2 years before. The court will focus more on Ongwen's alleged sex crimes and crimes against women after criticism that past ICC cases neglected these crimes. It will be the first time charges of forced marriage are central to an ICC prosecutor's case. Ongwen faces 70 counts of war crimes and crimes against humanity for attacks on refugee camps in northern Uganda between 2002 and 2005, including committing or directing acts of rape, sexual enslavement, and of conscripting child soldiers. He will be asked to plead guilty or not guilty, after which prosecutors and lawyers representing the conflict's victims will outline their case. On a later date, his lawyers are expected to argue if he is as much a victim as perpetrator. The ICC, based in The Hague, Netherlands, wore to the Nuremberg trials after World War II and ad hoc UN war crimes tribunals for the former Yugos founded when 120 countries adopted its founding treaty in 1998. It is seen as a Soxalovia and Rwanda.
Joining us on the program is VOA's Lisa Byron, who has been following this story from Paris. Thank you for joining us. Now, this is the first Lord's Resistance Army commander to be tried. How significant is this trial?
I think it's very significant, particularly for victims of many brutalities that are committed over the years. It's important to note that there were 5 arrest warrants sent out by the ICC. There are 2 people that I believe are still alive. One of them is Dominic Ongwen, and the other is Joseph Kony, the head of the LRA. The other 3 considered chief commanders of the LRA are considered dead. So that adds to the significance of this trial.
So, Lisa, can you do us a little reminder of some of the crimes that he is accused of?
Well, Dominic Ongwen himself, but it reflects the larger brutality of the LRA, is accused of 70 counts of war crimes and crimes against humanity. That's enormous. And the ICC in this particular trial is just focusing on 4 cases, 4 brutal raids on camps of internally displaced people in northern Uganda. Other people, experts and other accusers will say that that's just a fraction of the crimes that that Mr. Ongwen and the LRA have committed over the years. But looking at these 4 crimes, alleged crimes that the ICC has him on trial for, these were just incredibly brutal attacks on these camps of displaced people. And at the beginning of the trial this morning, the chief prosecutor, Fatou Bensouda, showed pictures of some of the victims